Is there a high-margin part of your business that two smart people equipped with AI tools could replicate in 60 to 90 days? If the answer is yes, your biggest threat is no longer your largest corporate competitor. The real danger is a tiny AI-native team moving faster than your entire organization. Over the next few minutes, we will explore how to protect against that exact scenario by building an AI-native digital twin at the edge of your organization. Surviving this shift requires a complete organizational singularity, a total redesign of the company around intelligence rather than hierarchy. Modern companies were built around human-centric workflows. They rely on meetings, strict reporting lines, and slew approval chains to get work done. This structure traces back to Ronald Coase's classic economic theory. Companies historically grew large because the cost of coordinating work and managing transactions was lower inside a firm than outside it. AI is driving the cost of execution down so drastically that the old model is reversing. The cost of internal coordination, the meetings, the emails, the approvals, is now the most expensive part of building anything. This diagram compares a standard organizational chart to an execution timeline. In a legacy company, an action like responding to a competitor requires traversing a massive decision bottleneck at the top. The actual execution phase is tiny, but the approval phase takes up 90% of the timeline. This bottleneck explains why enterprise AI projects often fail. When companies try to inject artificial intelligence into these legacy systems, the AI simply automates the old human bottlenecks. It speeds up the emails, but the broken approval system remains intact. When writing the code for a new feature becomes cheaper than holding the meeting to approve it, the logic of the modern company breaks. Organizational decision speed replaces scale as the dominant metric for survival. To eliminate those legacy bottlenecks, the company has to transition from a static organizational chart to a dynamic, intelligence-based workflow. This blueprint outlines the 6-layer intelligence stack required to make that transition. At the foundation, you establish the purpose layer. Here, the company mission acts as a strict protocol, guiding the behavior of both humans and the AI. Next, you build the sensing layer, where agents continually monitor market signals, competitors, and internal operations. Directly above that is the interpretation layer, where agents filter those signals to determine if they represent a threat, an opportunity, or just noise. Now the system moves to action. The decision layer processes those interpretations to propose concrete strategic options. Then the orchestration layer takes over, coordinating cross-team actions and external tools to execute the chosen path. The operational stack is capped by the learning layer. By assessing past outcomes, the system recursively loops back to the beginning, improving its own workflow over time. This entire stack must remain under strict human control. A final govern and assure wrapper encapsulates the system, keeping agents in check through review queues, activity logs, and strict permissions. Let's apply this stack to a retail scenario. If a competitor announces same-day delivery, a legacy company might spend weeks in strategy discussions. In this stack, sensing agents detect the announcement instantly. Interpretation agents assess the market threat. Decision agents propose immediate countermeasures. And orchestration agents map out the legal and operational execution paths for human review. By removing the human-centric approvals from the loop, this stack transforms the organization's core capability into an unbeatable velocity of decision-making. Implementing this stack does not mean attempting a risky rip-and-replace of your legacy systems. Instead, you build an AI-native digital twin at the very edge of your organization. This diagram illustrates the rewrite method for building that twin. On the left is your complex, slow-moving legacy structure. On the right, you begin building your streamlined parallel system. You start by rethinking what an AI-native future looks like through backcasting, evaluating your current organizational drag, and writing down the tacit human knowledge required to do the work. Once mapped, you identify a high-value process, transfer it over to this new edge environment, and engineer it for recursive improvement. You run it in parallel until the twin processes data faster and more accurately than the old system. There is a critical rule to this transition. Do not touch the cash cow. Leadership must never disrupt the primary revenue driver during this experimental phase. Ideal edge pilots are highly measurable processes. You might start with invoice processing, demand forecasting, or receipt confirmation. Building the future directly beside your core business allows you to prove the AI model's safety and efficacy on your own terms, long before it becomes the company's new center of gravity. Consider the impact of the intelligence stack on a standard corporate structure. When agents handle the sensing, interpretation, and orchestration of every project, the thousands of hours previously spent on manual data translation and internal reporting evaporate. The speakers argue that this massive efficiency shift allows future companies to operate with as little as 10 to 25% of their current headcount. Human participation shifts from the manual execution of these steps to the final verification and judgment of the entire flow. As the raw execution of tasks and massive data processing are abstracted away, humans are freed from the manual grind to manage the distilled outputs. For the C-suite and middle management, this means moving away from constant coordination and status reporting. Their daily focus shifts to workflow design, exercising strategic judgment, and validating AI recommendations through dashboard oversight. For frontline teams, the transition is equally profound. Instead of manual data entry, their work shifts towards exception handling, problem solving, and applying the nuanced judgment needed for complex customer interactions. As AI commoditizes basic execution, the uniquely human traits of judgment, trust, and accountability become your organization's most valuable remaining assets. You now have the framework to evaluate your organizational drag and build an AI pilot at the edge of your business without breaking your current company. Organizational singularity represents a total structural transformation. It centers every workflow, governance protocol, and learning loop on intelligence-driven systems rather than human-managed hierarchies. Will your company remain a hierarchy trying to use AI, or will it become an intelligent system with humans guiding the mission? The company of the future may not be the one with the biggest headcount, the most meetings, or the tallest hierarchy. It may be the one that learns the fastest, decides the clearest, and keeps humans focused on what only humans should own: purpose, judgment, trust, and responsibility. The future company is an intelligence-designed system,